And at the age of 13, the hatred, the absolute hatred that I'm even living began. Every day I began to wake up and I'm hating myself, and I don't understand why. It just made sense that I'm hating myself, and whatever, I hate myself, I hate myself. Saying I hate myself didn't it kind of relieved a little bit, but it wasn't doing any different. And so I decided I'm going to grab a bunch of my mom's aspirin. Just take a bunch, because I heard if you take a bunch of pills, it'll kill you. Because the level of it's just aggravating. And I didn't realize aspirin does, a bunch of aspirin does nothing more but give you a stomach ache. But I had the bottle, and my mom came home. I was like, "Oh, I can't do that. Can't do it now." So I thought about taking my dad's 22 rifle into the woods and somehow getting it to point at me and shoot me in the head. Like I'd have to walk a ways to get there, and everybody would be able to see. And whenever I would pick up the gun, somebody would come in the house, call my name. I was like, "What in the world is going on? I don't understand this." And so I'm standing at the kitchen counter, and never forget it. Standing there, I'm saying, "Okay, voice of many waters, I heard you at the age of 7. Proof that you are real." And the radio came on, and it was Michael W. Smith singing, "Looking for a reason, roaming through the night to find my place in this world, my place in this world. Not a lot to lean on. I need your help I need your light to help me find my place in this world, my place in this world." And I am like, when was he walking in the night? What in the world is going on? So, like, okay, turn the radio off. Radio came right back on. Except this time, it was a song that had not yet, I was hearing the song, but it had not yet been released to radio. I heard a song 4 years before it showed up on radio. And it was the group Avalon. And they were singing the song Adonai. And the chorus is, "Adonai, I lift up my heart and I cry, at my Adonai. You're the maker of each moment and father of my heart. Oh, my Adonai." I'm like, I could have a father of my heart? There's someone who wants to be the father of this ugly, hateful heart? What? So I'm like, okay, what if I'm serving a lie? Nah, couldn't possibly. What if nah, couldn't possibly. So then I see a conference where Benny Hinn is coming to Cleveland. And I begged my parents, "Could we please go to the conference?" They are like, "What in the world is happening to Norm that he's suddenly begging to go to a conference?" So we end up going to the conference. It's a one-night conference, and I fell asleep during the worship service, but the moment he starts preaching, oh my, it felt like it felt like there was either icicles or hot icicles. That's the only thing. It felt like icicles, but hot, going all through me, and I could not understand what was going on. And I tried to understand what was happening, but he was just so far away. We'd gotten seats, but it was like third floor up or whatever. And so when he began to call for all those who want a healing or deliverance, I came forward. And I didn't realize that my dad was following from a distance, but I was going down. I was on the floor level, and I saw a row of wheelchairs, and they were all waiting for when he's going to call these people from the wheelchairs, and they would be wheeling the people, and he's touching the people and healing them. And I'm like, okay, I'll just wait here until, because there's a crowd of people. I was like, I'll just wait here. And I put my hands on the wheelchair handles, and the lady in the wheelchair shot out of the. I'm like, what? She turns around because she's expecting like a guy in a suit that's just pray for her, and it's a kid. She's like, I'm healed. And I was like, I didn't do a damn thing. What are you talking about? And she's like, but I'm healed. And she's like, look at the signs. I look at the sign, and she's had bone leukemia for the past 17 years. She's been confined to a wheelchair. She's not able to get out, and I touch, and she's out. And I was like, oh, what is happening? And she's like, what did you come up front for? And I said, because I want God to take my temper. And she's like, what do you mean temper? I was like, my dad and I, we scream at each other. I don't understand. I get so angry at him, and I don't understand why I'm so angry. And she looks at me like real intent. And she's like, no, you're supposed to have that temper. I'm thinking, you should probably get back in your chair, because you are saying something that's. She's like, no, I see that the temper is actually keeping you alive. You're angrier than you should be, but the temper is keeping you alive because it keeps you at a distance from him. I'm like, right. She's like, well, where am I supposed to go? And I said, go up stage. So she starts making her way up stage. And about that time, I feel my dad's hands on my shoulders, and I recoiled because his hands were cold. They were ice cold compared to the hot icicles going through me. And I'm like, there's something in him that is so chilling. So, all right. I went to the Benny Hinn, never made it to the stage. As I'm walking back, I see him casting demons out of people, and I can literally, as he's casting them out, says, get out. I can see it looked like, if you've ever seen the movie Venom, the creature that gives this character all of his strength is black slime, and it talks through him. As Benny Hinn is casting these demons out, I'm seeing gobs of slime flying out at people. I'm like, oh, okay, that's wild. So we never made it up the stage. I don't know what would have happened if I would have, but never made it up to the stage, and we go back home, and the torment at night, just horrendous, and I'm getting maybe 3 hours of sleep per night. And that's when Holy Spirit finally drops in her lap what's actually happening. She finally realizes Norm is in witchcraft. Norm cannot listen, cannot obey, cannot do what he's told because he's controlled. So she prays a prayer. And this prayer, Vlad, and to everybody else on God's Voice today, this is the most powerful prayer you will ever hear, because it's customizable, but oh my goodness, this was instantaneous. She prayed a very simple prayer. God, don't let my son sleep until he makes his heart right with God.
How did that work out?
Well, 55 hours of no sleep. I was, the first night not sleeping, I was like, okay, great, that's just torment. But I also realized that within not being able to sleep, there is just this consistent, like that hum you get where you got feedback of being up on a stage, that the chords not being quite connected, and all night, all day, I kept looking over to see where the power line was that was making all that buzzing, but Nothing. So that night, my mom's like, hey, Norm, is your heart right with God? And I said, I think so. She's like, did you sleep last night? I said, no. She's like, well, it seemed like your heart is not right with God if you didn't sleep. I was like, whatever. She's like, no, seriously. If your heart is not right with God, you're not going to sleep. And this was like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And so I went upstairs. And no sleep. And so I am, for the first time in my life, at 4 in the morning when my parents are getting up, I'm awake and I'm downstairs. She's like, what are you doing here? I said, I can't sleep. I don't know why. And she says, is your heart right with God? I was like, shut up about that. That can't possibly be the reason. She's like, I slept just fine. Dad's sleeping just fine. Your sisters are sleeping just fine. What's going on, son? I'm like, I don't know. Just and then I said, could you please change the prayer so I can sleep? And she's like, no. I was like, you don't care about me. She's like, I care. Why don't you care about God? I'm like, I was just so angry that she would. I said, please change the prayer so I can sleep. She's like, no. Your heart needs to be right with God. In this house, needs to be right with God. So I said, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to sleep on the grass. Maybe the issue is the bed. Maybe it's the house. I'll just go outside. You know, in Ohio, we don't have ants that bite. In North Carolina, we do. And everywhere I laid down, there were ants coming up and biting me. Where'd you come? I'm like, where'd you come from? And I'd go in and all over the ground, lay down, bite. And so finally at like 12 in the after is the 12 noon that after this the third day of not being able, and I go inside, I'm like, Ma, please change the prayer. What's going on? I said, I can't sleep. There, I told you the truth. I told you the truth. Is that gonna do it? So like, no. Your heart's right with me. That's great. Your heart has to be right with God. That's the key. Fine. So I go upstairs and I get on my knees. I said, God, I don't even know who you are. I just know that you're way stronger than all of my spirit guides. I don't know what it's going to take, but whatever it does take, I give my life to you, and please make my heart right with you. And the humming instantly stopped. I was like, oh, that's what happens. So I go back downstairs, and I make myself a cup of Nesquik mix chocolate milk. And I said, Ma, I don't know if anything changed. Can you see anything different? She's like, no. I said, well, I prayed. She's like, oh, cool. And I said, and then I'm going to go to sleep. She's like, yeah, sure. And that was like, I was upstairs, and I actually fell asleep for a little bit. I was like, whoa, this is pretty good. And I get up at 3 because I had to use the bathroom. And Mom's like, where were you? I said, I was sleeping. She's like, really? I was like, yeah, I was sleeping. She's like, okay. So I go back, make myself another Nesquik. She's like, you've had enough of that. I said, Ma, you know I like chocolate milk. To this day, I love chocolate milk. In fact, this is how much my wife loves me. You gotta see this. I told her I wanted a box of the Swiss Miss packets. So she goes to a BJ's. It's a 4-pound container. So I made myself a second thing of Nesquik. I go upstairs. I say, thank you, God, for healing me and for letting me sleep. And I slept till 10 o'clock. From 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Back downstairs. Mom's like, where were you? I was like, I was sleeping. She's like, oh, okay. And I go to the use the restroom. She's like, and I come back for another glass of milk, and she had the Nesquik. She's like, 1 spoon. Because I was putting 3 spoons in. And she's like, 1 spoon. That'd be good enough for you. She mixed it. I drank it. I washed out the glass. And she's like, what? Because I'd never washed out anything to that point. I washed it out. And I go upstairs, and I sleep until noon the next day. All right, this is wild. Where has the church gone wrong to teach that a prayer could be answered instantly? Why is that not, I began to think about, why is that not taught? That something can actually happen instantly. Jesus said it's all the time. It's suddenly or instantly or right away. But in the church, where's it happening in the church? So a couple months after my 14th birthday, and it was very close to my 13th, to my 14th birthday when I had prayed this prayer. A man by the name of Yuri Hirschberger comes to my parents' house. He says, I've come to this house to deliver this house from the curse of witchcraft. And my parents like, don't know what you're talking about. He's like, oh, no, not you two. Points to me, says, you. I was like, oh, no, not me. I'm not in witchcraft. He says, do you like to do whatever you want? I said, yeah. He's like, do you like to not do what your parents tell you? I was like, yeah. He's like, that's witchcraft. And then he takes me to 2 Samuel chapter 15, where Saul was told to kill all the Amalekites. He didn't. He was told to kill all the livestock. He made a big old altar, sacrificed a bunch of animals. And Prophet Samuel told King Saul that rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness as the sin of idolatry. I was like, well, I'm guilty of idolatry then too, because I am very stubborn. And so he leads me through a prayer. I renounce witchcraft, and he leads me through the salvation prayer. I receive Jesus Christ, and I thought, all right, I received Christ. This is going to be amazing. I'm finally in the right track. And that's when the abuse began. My parents did not actually unite in believing the same thing until about 5 years ago. But my mom was full on convinced Norm has made a difference. My dad was full on convinced Norm lied about being in witchcraft, and he's now being in church and being extra good because he's trying to earn my approval, and it's all a lie. And every time he slips up just a little bit, I'm going to punish him very hard, because he needs to learn that there are repercussions to lying in church. And the abuse went from the age of 14 until 31, where it broke my brain. Literally, I had a mental breakdown. Now, there was a time between the ages of 25 to 28 that I left the house, tried to make it on my own. My heart was too wounded to be able to live on my own. And so I was in a group home, where I was like couple weeks away from getting a full-time job And then my parents found me where I was and said, yeah, we can treat you better. Took me back home. Up to that point, I had figured out how I wanted to be treated. And so I had somebody write out a contract, my dad sign it, of how to treat me right. And he ripped up the contract as soon as we got home. He's like, I don't need a contract to tell me how to do things. So I said, well, you've just shown how much you don't care for anyone's boundaries. He's like, because I know how to treat you. I know how to treat you right. I was like, yeah, with abuse? That's why I ran away. I said, I might not have changed all that much, but the one thing that absolutely did change, and I said this at the age of 27 or 28, the one thing that did absolutely change is if you are abusing me, I'm going to tell other people. Because before that, you abused me, I wouldn't tell anyone. But you might have noticed there's a big old gap between the age of 14 to 28. Between the ages of 14 to 17, I don't remember a whole bunch. That's how atrociously bad the physical, mental, emotional abuse was. I don't remember a whole lot from those years. And the reason that a lot of people couldn't understand that what I was saying was true was because my dad was one of the elders of the church. Why is his son talking and, telling people that he's being abused when his dad is the elder? What's going on? That level of inconsistency, it didn't make sense. So everybody was pretty sure I was lying. So they tell my dad, and each time I got back to him, that I was once more telling other people what was going on in the house. I got beat so many times. So age of 17 was the absolute turning point, because it was 10 years almost to the day that I was out at the VBS. I was helping my dad with a project where we were putting sandbags around the base of a home that was right next to, I don't know if you remember, or if you've ever heard of Kokosing River.
I think so.
It's one of the rivers that feed into Sayada. We were putting sandbags around this property, and they told me that just up the river, is where there used to be a train trestle across. And when they took out the center pillar, they never filled it in. So it's like an amazing swimming hole. And at that particular day, I was wearing black jeans and shoes and a shirt. And so I decided I'm going to go check this out. Now, I'm a very good swimmer. I can swim, just about muddy water, clean water, don't matter. I can swim. Not a problem. So I find this deep spot and I swim across. Not a problem. With shoes and pants on. Not a problem. Then I turn around and I hear splashing. I look across. Didn't realize I had been followed by this kid that couldn't swim. And now he's in that deep spot. He's going up and down, and I'm like, okay, if he drowns, and I just watch him drown, I'm gonna have issues with that. I'm gonna try to do everything I can to rescue him. So go out there, and I told him it was gonna be his boat. So I decided I'm gonna go under to push him up. I should have had lifeguard training first, but there's two other teenage boys. They were back at the house for something, and so I tried to push this kid in the water. He's kicking. I'm trying to grab his foot and push. That didn't work. So I get up away from him, and I have my back to him. He turns around, sees me, and grabs me. And as he grabs me, water shoots up my nose. And that's when I find out. If you've ever drank a soda pop too fast and you burp and it comes up through your nose and that burn, that burn is partly because of the acid from your